Viktor Frankl once said that everything can be taken from a person except one thing, the last of the human freedoms, the freedom to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. This idea alone is powerful enough to stop us mid-scroll and make us think. In a world obsessed with control, optimization, and quick fixes, Frankl offers something radically different. He doesn't promise happiness. He doesn't sell comfort. He points instead to meaning and claims that meaning is the deepest form of freedom we can ever experience. Frankl did not arrive at this idea from a comfortable armchair or a motivational seminar. He discovered it in the darkest place imaginable, the Nazi concentration camps. There, stripped of identity, possessions, dignity, and often hope, he observed something astonishing. Some people collapsed inward while others, under the same brutal conditions, retained a sense of inner freedom. They suffered, yes, but they were not entirely broken. What separated them was not strength or optimism, but meaning. This is uncomfortable to hear, and Frankl knew it would be. We would prefer a philosophy that says suffering is always bad and must be eliminated at all costs. Frankl disagreed. He argued that suffering is not meaningful in itself, but it becomes meaningful when we choose how to respond to it. Meaning does not remove pain. Meaning gives pain a direction, and direction, even in suffering, changes everything. Modern life gives us unprecedented convenience, yet many people feel strangely empty. We have endless choices, yet feel trapped. Frankl would say that this is not a paradox, it is a symptom. When life is centered only on pleasure or success, it becomes fragile. The moment pleasure disappears or success falters, meaning collapses. A meaningful life, on the other hand, can endure discomfort, uncertainty, and even failure because it is oriented towards something beyond the self. Frankl believed that meaning is not invented but discovered. It is not something we sit down and design like a productivity system. Meaning emerges when we respond to life's questions, not when we demand answers from life. Life, he said, is constantly asking us something. Our task is not to ask, "What do I expect from life?" but "What does life expect from me right now?" This shift in perspective is subtle but revolutionary. It moves us from entitlement to responsibility, from passively waiting for fulfillment to actively participating in existence. Meaning is not a feeling that arrives one day and stays forever. It is a relationship with life, renewed moment by moment, choice by choice, even, perhaps especially, when circumstances are unfair. Frankl described three primary ways we discover meaning. The first is through creation, what we give to the world through work, art, or contribution. This is not about career status or recognition. A nurse, a writer, a parent, a volunteer, all can create meaning through what they offer. The question is not whether the work is glamorous, but whether it is done with intention. The second path to meaning is through experience, what we take from the world in terms of love, beauty, and connection. A sunset, a conversation, a piece of music, a moment of genuine presence. These experiences do not need to be extraordinary. Meaning is not impressed by luxury. It is deeply moved by attention. The third path, and the one Frankl emphasized most, is through attitude. When suffering is unavoidable, when we cannot change the situation, we are still free to choose our stance toward it. This is the highest form of human dignity. It is also the hardest. Attitude does not eliminate pain, but it prevents pain from turning into despair. Frankl noticed that prisoners who lost their sense of future meaning deteriorated rapidly. When someone no longer believed there was something or someone waiting for them, an unfinished task, a loved one, a responsibility, their inner resistance weakened. Meaning, in this sense, is not philosophical decoration. It is psychological oxygen. This insight has enormous implications for our lives today. Many people are not overwhelmed by suffering, but by meaninglessness. The pain is quieter but just as corrosive. Endless distraction, constant comparison, and shallow goals slowly drain vitality. Frankl would not tell us to escape discomfort. He would tell us to ask better questions. One of Frankl's most misunderstood ideas is that we should not aim for happiness directly. Happiness, he argued, is a byproduct. Chase it and it runs away. Commit yourself to something meaningful and happiness may show up on its own, almost as a side effect. Like laughter, it cannot be forced without becoming artificial. This perspective is deeply liberating. It removes the pressure to feel good all the time. It gives us permission to have difficult days without believing something is wrong with us. Meaning is compatible with sadness, fatigue, and doubt. In fact, it often grows precisely there. Frankl also warned against what he called existential vacuum, a state where people feel bored, restless, and empty. This vacuum often gets filled with noise, workaholism, addiction, constant entertainment. But noise is not meaning. Silence, though uncomfortable, is often where meaning begins to speak. In a world driven by algorithms telling us what to want next, Frankl's message feels almost rebellious. He reminds us that no system can tell us what our life means. Meaning is personal, contextual, and unrepeatable. No one can replace us in responding to the specific demands life places on us. This is where responsibility becomes central. Freedom without responsibility, Frankl warned, becomes emptiness. True freedom is not the absence of constraints, but the ability to take responsibility for our response within them. This kind of freedom cannot be taken away because it exists internally. Frankl's approach does not deny trauma or minimize suffering. On the contrary, it takes suffering seriously enough to ask what it demands of us. Not every wound becomes wisdom, but every wound presents a choice. Will it close us inward or open us outward toward meaning? This idea can sound intimidating, but it is also profoundly empowering. It means that even when life is unfair, we are not powerless. We may not control what happens, but we participate in what it becomes. Meaning transforms victims into witnesses, sufferers into contributors. Frankl himself lived this philosophy long after the camps. He did not cling to bitterness or revenge. He dedicated his life to helping others find meaning in their own struggles. His work is not a monument to suffering, but a testament to resilience grounded in purpose. In practical terms, meaning often appears quietly. It might look like caring for someone when it's inconvenient, finishing something you promised even when motivation fades, speaking truth gently when silence would be easier. Meaning rarely announces itself with fireworks. It tends to whisper. Our culture often celebrates freedom as unlimited choice. Frankl invites us to consider freedom as commitment, choosing what we stand for, even when it costs us something, especially when it costs us something. Without cost, meaning remains theoretical. There is also humor in Frankl's work, subtle but real. He understood the absurdity of human existence. He knew that even in suffering, people joke, laugh, and find irony. Humor, for Frankl, was not escapism. It was a form of defiance, a way to rise above circumstances without denying them. This is perhaps why his message still resonates. It does not promise an easy life. Ironically, it offers something better, a meaningful one. And meaning, unlike comfort, does not collapse when conditions change. If you are waiting for life to become perfect before it feels meaningful, Frankl would gently suggest you stop waiting. Meaning is not postponed until the end of struggle. It is woven into the struggle itself, right now, today, in the choices you make after this video ends. The ultimate freedom Frankl speaks of is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet, steady, and deeply human. It is the freedom to say, "This is my life. These are my circumstances, and I will decide what they mean." No algorithm, no trend, no external validation required. And perhaps that is the real secret to an easy life, not a life without difficulty, but a life anchored in meaning. Because when life makes sense, even suffering becomes bearable. And when life has direction, even uncertainty feels less threatening. Meaning does not remove fear, but it gives courage somewhere to stand. It does not guarantee success, but it gives failure a context. It does not eliminate death, but it gives life weight. In the end, Frankl leaves us with a quiet challenge. Not to ask what life owes us, but what we owe life. Not to demand comfort, but to offer responsibility. Not to chase happiness, but to live in a way that makes happiness possible. That choice, made again and again, is the ultimate freedom. This is another key to an easy life.